Hello one and hello all. I send you greetings around the world. My name is Maponga J and I'm broadcasting live from Guangzhou, right here in China. What a time to be alive. And here on your channel where we discuss African politics, African science, African medicine, pharmaceuticals, entertainment, governance systems, education, health, technology, indigenous knowledge systems, and above everything else, here on your channel, we taking time to discuss what we call AI. AI, not artificial intelligence, but we're here discussing ancestral intelligence. I am quite excited to be in China for the next few days as we explore the economy of China on a business forum, a business conference between China and Zimbabwe, business discussions and conversations. The trip has been quite insightful and very interesting, and I'm looking forward to exploring this city and sharing with our people the data information around the godfather of machinery, clothes and product production that have flooded the whole world. And we're here not to be reading things and newspaper cuttings and YouTube and TikTok posts. We get on site, we get to the real places, see real people, and begin real conversations so that our people can not just make decisions in the dark, but they can also be informed, and they must be informed so that they can make those intelligent decisions. Yours truly is Maponga J, live from Guangzhou, right here in China. Quite a splash, beautiful hotel room that I got here. I can see lots of our wood and furniture, iron in mass display here. They've been able to take some of these resources and maximize them and produce world-class standard products. Our conversation of this afternoon, rather, this is still morning here, about 10 in the morning, 10, 11 in the morning. I've lost sense of time from Burkina Faso last week to Zimbabwe and Ethiopia, and now I'm here in China. But our visit into the Chinese economy has, for a start, when I arrived at the airport, highly automated, beautiful city that they've built for themselves here. And the first thing that frustrated me, of course, is the absence of social media. Social media, our regular platforms, our TikToks, our Instagrams, our Facebooks, and other forms of communication that we always use to drive our propaganda and information around the world. They're not working here in China. You have to do some other extramural activities to be able to get access to information and data. On that point alone, critical, that when a country is in the business of development, the way you manage your media, the way you manage your propaganda machinery, the way you manage your narrative is very critical, because you could be building on one side and doomsayers are destroying what you're doing on the other side. And the quality of your opposition politics can actually have a direct impact on investor confidence in your own economies. So some of the African countries are actually disadvantaged themselves because the quality of media that they're pushing out about their own country reaches the people who must be coming to these countries and invest in those countries. And all these become negative indicators to those who want to do investments. So first and foremost, China is not running on public social media propaganda, which is influenced by the West. They've designed their own media platforms, which are almost equivalent to your Facebooks and your TikToks and your Instagrams, which they are able to use locally here to communicate their own agenda, and the government, as it were, and the intelligence are sitting on top of this conversation so that they manage the narrative. And they've been able to do this for the past 30 to 40 years when China was a no-go area, and they were busy developing and improving their own systems from within. And I see nothing wrong with that, except that our young people in Africa are now addicted to TikTok, to Facebook and Instagrams, and those propaganda platforms where there is more immoral information that is going on there. There's been nothing wrong with Africa opening its own social media platforms where we can begin to discuss our own stories, even individual countries. I mean, what's wrong with opening a Zim book? What's wrong with opening a Bots book for Botswana? What's wrong with opening a tech book in Tanzania? Or find another word anyway, if you don't want to imitate some of these words that are already being used. But it will be quite interesting. It unlocks a whole new set of businesses. And I think where we are right now, our young people already have the technology, they have the know-how, they know the science of how to set up some of these platforms. The only problem we'll be facing is the government willpower, in terms of political willpower, to say we have the idea, we can set up the platforms, and we can make and mobilize our young people in our country to patronize these media platforms where every country and as a continent we can begin to drive our own narrative. So if you want Africa to develop, stop relying on foreign social media platforms as a form of informing your people what you want them to do. And on the contrary, when you do this again, the young politicians, the young Gen Zs, who are already addicted to foreign diets in terms of media, will be the first ones to protest and start talking about freedom of expression, freedom of communication, and etc., not knowing that Facebook, Instagram, and etc. are sitting in the American government, and that is how they are harvesting content, harvesting knowledge, and harvesting public opinion. And they own these things because they are their own vehicles. We noticed the other day Zuckerberg coming blatantly clear when he was being asked by the CIA and the American government as to what is he doing with the information that Facebook is giving him. So these platforms that we are now eating very, very casually, we must know that even while we are here on these platforms, we are actually informing the Americans as to where is the public opinion of the community. Now, look what happens when Africa withdraws information from our enemies. We'll be able to start developing our own products and having our own stories and being able to relate those stories the best way we want to know how. So yes, China, there is no interruption of foreign media. They only capitalize and maximize on local media, which I think is very, very smart. And I would want to challenge our African governments and some of the big business people that are in Africa, start putting your monies together and let's see if we can create our own social media platforms where we can host and broadcast our own narratives. Secondly, that what I noticed when I got to China here, it is the extent of the city, the cosmopolitan concept. It is fully industrialized, fully automated, and concrete on top of concrete, building on top of building, and etc. Beautiful. It is beautiful because you're now dealing with the high population of people. You can no longer grow horizontally. You have to grow vertically. And for that reason, people are literally sitting and staying on top of each other. Beautiful construction buildings, world-class construction buildings. I mean, I would even take you to my bathroom here. Automated toilets. Literally, when you enter the door, the lights come on. Before you enter the toilet, the whole sitting chambers, they just salute you and they open and you press buttons there. You don't need to be using tissues and other things. They're quite interesting. I'm shocked to my boots. Quite fascinating. Lots of buttons on their side and warm air, cold air, to be cleaning and wiping your backside. Just be careful. You don't press the hot one and you roast your backside in an ceremonious ways. But quite interesting, I must say. We must share these things so that our young people who are also thinking of innovation, it will be high time to take some of these technologies or develop these technologies back home, and it can actually increase our hygiene and other things. The toilets flush themselves, they clean themselves, they sanitize themselves, and some of these sciences. There's no reason why we should be torturing ourselves, people doing some of the tasks that we think that they are not so good tasks when machines can do that. So this for me opens up a whole window of the opportunities and possible, advancements that are useful, could be useful in terms of developing our own country. But I want to spend most of my time today discussing a really, really critical component that I want to call it the benchmarking of African economies. Please, if you are able to share this video or invite a friend or two, I want to give you just half a minute, literally. What I'm going to be saying on this platform today is of critical importance. And if you have a friend or two that you want to tag, you want to share this post, let's do so. Tag your president, take your ministers, take your political friends and your business partners, so that we can begin to think together and think together as a collective. We do all this traveling around the continent and around the world, so that we can be able to benchmark, not only benchmark our economics, but also benchmark our social viability. Our local behaviors must be aware of what is happening on the global platform. And the Chinese model, for me, is quite an interesting model that I would like to zoom into for some few moments, and I will benchmark this around the rest of the world. And I hope in the midst of that conversation, Africa can also begin to find her voice. Now, take note that China is not being run by a multi-party system, number one. China is being run by the one party, the Central Party, the Communist Party of China. That has its roots in the old philosophies of Confucius and Sun Tzu's and Mao's, who actually set up the social structures of China. A very, very interesting model of governance. And within that, it is undergirded or undergirded by the moral and ethical indigenous ways of truth, justice, and fairness. What do you do when there is a problem? What do you do when there's a social relegate? The systems and the structures of the economy are able to deal with some of these elements without stressing the entire country. Criminals are eliminated, drugs are not tolerated, and other ill social behaviors are managed very drastically and very expediently. This, therefore, is able to put a certain amount of order, law and order, safety and security within the economic and the social structures. Why am I doing this? Because we have been told, and we have been lied to, that democracy is the only thing that will make Africa go forward. It is not true. China, particularly where I am right here in Guangzhou, I might have an opportunity to get to Beijing. It is doing very well. They are economically doing very well. Their infrastructure is next to none. But they are not democratic. And they are not Christian. Two things that stand out very boldly. They're not democratic and they are not Christian. So it is possible for you to be a non-democratic country, for you to be a non-Christian country, and still be successful. And China is highly industrialized. How is it industrialized? Their appetite of raw materials around the world is very high. And they've been able to develop an educational system that produces engineers, that produces manufacturers, and lots of innovators who are able to look at the problems in the world and come up with solutions. Even this thing I'm talking about just for the toilet, it might sound like it's a joke. But who wants to be employing 200, 300 people running around cleaning toilets when toilets can be cleaning themselves? And they have one person who can just be checking if the machines are working well. So small little things like that. We don't need innovations of how to go to the moon, how to go to Mars, and how to get into the space. Africa right now needs small little innovations, meaningful innovations. How do we close potholes? How do we deal with leaking sewage waters that are in our communities? How do we deal with extra rubbish and plastics that are filtering and littering all of our cities? How do we deal with dirty and filthy cities in Africa? We need innovation around dealing with our own rubble, dealing with our own rubbish, so that we can have a habitable environment. But what is of most importance to me is to notice that when the Chinese government is running its government from the central party, from the political party, China has been able to arrange a fleet of SOEs, state-owned enterprises. State-owned enterprises would mean public and private sectors in conversation to supply critical components, to supply critical services into the government infrastructure. This will include, if you look very carefully on my post these days, I'm quite stuck on the pillars that I've put for you in the book, African Questions and African Solutions. When it comes to governance, what kind of a committee do we put there to drive this machinery for us? Now, these are sitting within the political intelligence space. When it comes to business, What kind of businesses are we going to be running, and how do we fund those businesses? We need a bank as a Bank of China. What are the parastatal, or what are the support banking structures will we be putting onto the Sinotex, as you find them in South Africa and Shenzhen, the Bank of China, all around the world, so that when you are coming to a country to invest, you bring your own money, you build your own bank within a certain infrastructure, within a certain economic structure, or within a certain democratic space, so that you cut out all the issues of transporting and sending your money through other government, and you now send your money straight from China into South Africa, into the Sinotech Bank, sitting in Shenzhen. Then when you want to sponsor your projects in South Africa, you don't have to be worrying with the cracking of problems dealing with other banks that are in South Africa that are full of themselves to the heads. You go to your own bank as China. Go to Sinotech. Access money from there. They've already done all the exchanges, the paperwork, and the movement of money. You get your local rands in rands, but that's Chinese money. Now, that's intelligence. That's very, very intelligent. Because when you want to do development, you can't develop and put your money in the hands of a person that is hungry, and then the person will manage your money for you and decide what to do with the change. So they have built up economic structures and infrastructures, including insurances that protect those monies. They've put up machinery development, shipping companies, and the value chain of development moves straight from the factory that is here, where the machines are being manufactured, the procurement, the transportation from these industries into their shipping industries, into the ports where they are going. That's why they're interested in buying and developing ports in Africa. Tanzania, for example, Kenya is next, Nigeria is next. I don't know what are the conversations with Mozambique and South Africa, but there's a big interest where China wants to start getting involved in building these ports, because they want to build a seamless shipping or marine business where their products will not be stuck in another German, another Dutch shipping company that is deciding what to do with their products. So this end-to-end is helping them, that when the ships are moving from here, coming to Africa, they're bringing the products. When they come back here, they're bringing the raw material. And it is this kind of business that has actually helped China to become one of the biggest shipping companies in the world right now as we speak. It used to be the Italians and the Dutch people, but no, that equation has changed. China is now on top of the shipping companies. And why are they doing this? They are developing a seamless product, services, raw material, manufacturing value chain, which allows innovation. People, when they think of ideas, the next person next to you, what do you need to make your idea work? I need material. The next person, where is the material? Material, the next person, how do I bring the material here? Material is here. The next question, now, how do I procure it? Procure it. How do I ship it? Ship it. And then the whole system, education and business, investments, and government are working to incubate the ideas of the innovators. By the time you are hearing of companies such as Huawei, such as Samsung's, such as computers, machinery, earth-moving equipment, and whether it is furniture and etc., the young people in the country who are coming up with innovation, the government has put a conducive system, a conducive environment where their ideas are able to be translated from an idea to a product, and before you notice it, boom, there's a product that is on the table that is well-resourced, well-researched, and of a quality that the whole world can be shipping over. Small little thing like here, no smoking right here, made up of beautiful brass, this is a high-class hotel, brass, beautiful material, nice. It's a small little piece. It doesn't speak, doesn't do anything. But for the purposes it has been designed, it is here, it is of a good quality, and this can be exported anywhere around the world in all the hotels that want to put a no smoking sign. So the government has created a seamless business environment that is able to move goods and services at breakneck speed. And that allows their production to become profitable. And the government is managing all that to make sure that individual people don't end up becoming more powerful than the system that is producing them. And once people have power, they have abilities to begin to have other dreams and visions, what they want to do with their money and what they want to do with their power. That's number one. And after China has developed this value chain, China is doing business with Chinese. Full stop. All the people who are holding influential positions, influential business transactions, influential media houses, influential TV stations, influential technologies, Huawei, Samsung, influential automobile, Toyotas, in Japan is nearby, of course, influential infrastructure development and business. They must, all those people must have a relationship with the government. I want that to settle a little bit. If you are doing multi-billion, multi-million businesses in China, you cannot avoid the government. You must have the government as your partner. Strategically, politically, regionally, and internationally. China must always be able to manage their interests within your interest, because China's interest is national interest. And if you are a national, patriotism has to do with giving access to your business to further the national interest. This is the shame in Africa. Total shame and disaster, where our African governments make it free for all. South Africa is a land that belongs to all who live in it. Like live in it? We don't want people who live in it. Those who live in it might have visited into it. We want people who live in it and they own it and they know and respect that this is their home. The sense of their patriotic appetite must supersede their economic appetite. Now, when you look into this model of creating a government that actually is doing business, the government is doing business to develop the nation, to build houses, build roads, build dams, build solar systems and solar panels, build industries, employ and move and produce more millionaires and billionaires in the world than anywhere else. Within a space of 30 to 50 years, China has been able to produce some of the richest people in the world. That is a ghostbuster number 2, which says socialism does not work. No, it's actually not true. Because within the socialistic system, we have also been able to see the development and the growth of common people and becoming millionaires within a socialistic system, owning aeroplanes, owning buildings, and owning huge infrastructures, both on digital, on real estate, and many other aspects, as long as those interests are within the national and greater interests of the party. So it is not true that we can only run a country when the people that are doing business are foreign experts. We can run businesses with local experts. Therefore, young people all around Africa, allow yourselves to make money with your governments. Don't feel guilty for making and doing business with your governments. There is nothing wrong with doing business with governments. Be innovative enough, take up a solution. We, yes, I know some of our systems are not yet efficient to be able to harness talent, harness these innovations, sponsor them, fund them, and then be having good partnerships which are transparent, progressive, and profitable, so that you will come up with the idea, you can actually make money out of it. But it is possible that when you are able to supply a specific service or specific product to the government, which has an interest for the nation and an interest for the business and import and export spaces, that you can actually use this window of opportunity that you can be able to do business with government. There is nothing wrong with an African doing business with an African government. I want to dispel this whole idea of Zigananda in a very technical way. If Tagwire, if Chivayo, if who is the next one? Tungwarara, if Machakaire is not doing business with government, if Chimuka is not building roads for the government, then who do you want to build those roads? Give me a new list of people who you think must do business with your country. I want to take the Chimuka model, quite interesting, fossil, that build Trababalas and part of the Masvingo Harare highway. Contested piece of development, both from pricing and final delivery. I don't have a problem with quality. I look at it, I think it meets world standards. When the project was firstly earmarked, it was allocated at a certain amount of money. The contract was approved. But the delays in starting the project were hamstringed by two issues. Material supply, equipment supply, were of a crisis. The Group 5s, which are the big companies, the Stefanos, were able to be doing lots of construction in Zimbabwe, the Greenacres, for the longest of time, white-owned companies, were sidelined by the government to prefer the local people to do the business. This made them angry. This made them mad. They sat on their resources, they sat on their cement supply, they sat on their scaffolding, they sat on their equipment, and will not give it or rent it out or sell it to Fossil, which caused huge delay. Fossil had to start a business recapitalization project to access funds in constringent, sanction-ridden economy, to raise the funds locally, internationally, and from private sector. Access the markets in South Africa, start buying the equipment, start getting the quarry sites, so that by the time they started constructing, if not 60 to 80% of all the equipment that Fossil was using was brand new equipment that they had to import and ship from China, from Europe, from South Africa into Zimbabwe, because we don't have right now capacity to produce these yellow fleet equipments and produce this product. Cement was a problem, of course. I remember Zambia and South Africa had to come into rescue in some of the issues. Now, they were able to deliver on a road that is standing. O.C. Chimuka, through Fossil, has been able to make a road, boom, and make a bridge. All the equipment that is needed is now available in the country. In the country. We now have capacity to build. Then you wake up in the morning and say, this is Chigananda. We want other people also to start participating in this government project. I don't think you understand how construction works. I have worked in the construction space for some time. Getting new suppliers of these services will take them another 4 to 5 to 6 years to build the same capacity that your local person, Chimuka, has been able to develop. It only takes you mathematics. You will have backtracked your progress with another 3 to 4 to 5 years, which took him to be where he is. Develop enough people locally who can have enough capacity, be it in construction, mining, manufacturing, retail, transportation. Allow them to be big, and they must develop others within themselves, but always to be starting with poor people, giving them bigger government contracts, and they have no capacity, poor quality, and etc. You keep on running in circles. Get to Britain, for crying out loud. The British people do business with the British people. No African man from KwaZimba is sitting in Britain there discussing how much chocolate must come into the country. Go to America. Americans are doing business with Americans. There's no person from Kwamrambinda who goes and sits to advise Trump on how to spend on his weapons and etc. around the world. Go to Europe. Go to Dubai. Tell me which of those economies are sitting, waiting for someone from Chingola, waiting for someone from Laudzi to come around and discuss, oh, we need to do so much. They look and talk to their own local people. African people, think and open your heads, open them fast. The problem of South Africa is sitting right there, where the local South Africans are excluded from their own economy, as the foreign nationals who are now nationals, who have a history of colonialism, are holding tight to the economies, and the multinational companies will not allow local people to own those businesses, except to come in as part shareholders, but not mass shareholders. So how long will it take us to say, when we benchmark our economics around the world, and we're thinking how best Africa can grow, we needed, number one, to start looking how are other successful economies around the world doing it. The economies of the East, the economies of the North, the economies of the West, and ultimately the economies of the South, where we are here in the South, in the southern part, which is Africa. And you look at all of them. America has suppliers of weapons, medicines, pharmaceuticals, leather, gadgets, and etc. All the people that are doing business with America are Americans. Not only Americans, they all work with CIA. They are all working with FBIs. You get to Europe, they are all Europeans who are working with M15s and KGBs. You tell me that Russia would trust an American to come and become a business partner in a Russian transaction. You tell me that Xi Jinping would trust a person from Nigeria to come and sit with him and do business transactions on a North Korean business transaction. You tell me that China would trust a British intelligence to come and sit with him and advise him how to drive Chinese economy. You must be smoking your socks. Countries don't run like that. You must identify yourselves. You must find your own people, capacitated people, able-bodied people, financially viable people who have their countries patriotic at heart, who can come closer to the government, advise the government, make the government work. Why? Because the government does not have money. Money belongs to business. Wake up. Government is policy. Business is economics. If the business environment does not make money, the government has no taxes to give you the services that you are looking for. By killing business, you are killing the effectiveness of your government. There is this symbiotic relationship that the young people don't seem to see. We just want to change the government. You can have the government, but if the government coffers have nothing, we want to make new policies. How do you make policies when you have no money to even run those policies? How do you make a policy when you are not even paid your own salary? Because your salary is coming from the private and public sectors. It's coming from the business environment. Business sponsors politics. Now you hear me well, that politics is a prostitute of economics. You can't be killing business people and hoping to develop a government. You will end up with a government that has nothing in it. For the money that the government needs is not coming from government. The money is coming from private and public sector. It is the people, the entrepreneurs, it is the business people who give people employment. And when people are employed, they're able to return their services and their taxes into the government infrastructures, which now begins to give the government. Therefore, the government is a servant of the people. Their business of the government is to write policies that makes it easier for the people to survive and businesses to thrive, managing regional and international politics for the success and development of their local communities. Now, there is a definition if you are looking for it. It is this understanding that we needed to start putting around our African governments. I will say it bluntly, in a very blunt way. Every country in Africa must identify patriotic business people, sharp, patriotic business people. Bring those people closer to you. Give them government contracts to work. Make them make money, big money. When they have made money, these same business people must capture your government and begin to direct the policies that will make their businesses function better so that you can make more money as government. They call it state capture. There is no country in the world that is not captured. There is no government in the world that is not captured. Money captures everybody. The question is, what kind of a capturer do you have? Are you captured by multinationals? Are you captured by foreign investors? Are you captured by private sector, or you are captured by patriotic businessmen? So the Botswana government, the biggest business in Botswana is De Beers. De Beers, a South African company. Now, how do you trust your resources as Botswana in the hands of a South African businessman, in the hands of Nick Oppenheimer, De Beers, and still hope that you make decisions? Don't you see the science? If they are the biggest business, they are the biggest sponsors of your taxes. They can sponsor anybody in the country to take over the government as long as that person does policies that favor their business. This is common sense. Therefore, when it comes to critical resources every country in Africa must not allow their critical resources, such as uranium, such as platinum, such as chrome, such as agriculture, such as diamonds, to be in the hands of private individuals. Because when these things are in the hands fully of the private individuals who don't have a good relationship with the government, with the monies that they make from those resources, they can use the same money to destroy you. I would want to make a declaration, and I know I'm going to become public spectacle on the media for the next few days, but frankly, I don't care. I wish we could have another 20 or 30 Tagires, another 20 or 30 Chimukas, another 20, 30 Tungwararas, another 30, 40 Chifayos, another 30, 40 Sakukanyas, who can all make money. We don't know where they're making their money. But after you make your money, bring your money together as patriotic Zimbabweans. Come on, do roads, do hospitals, put the infrastructures together, build and develop your countries. Because there's no way all of us can have the business acumen that some of them have and how they make that money. But we just hope that when they make that money, they are willing to come back and use the money in the system and not use that money against us as the same thing dividing and ruling amongst us. That for me is common sense. It is common sense, and I would say every African government must be captured by Africans. There's no crime. Every government must be captured by its own people. You, when you are working right now and you're thinking what to do with your life, think, how do you capture your government? And when you capture it, influence it to draft, run policies that favor your development. If that is free advice, you may not agree with everything that I'm saying, but at the very desktop, apply your mind and think, when these businessmen are giving away cars, they are giving away houses, they're giving away what? They are not giving them to you. They are giving them to the people that they want to give them to. It is their money. They're giving them to the people they want to give them to. And while they're giving them that money, their allegiance is firstly to a political system that has created a conducive political environment and an economic environment for their survival. Therefore, their allegiance is not towards you as common people. Their allegiance is towards the system that assists them to drive their business. I would do exactly the same. And people are angry. You can't be giving that, you can't be giving that. No, you don't understand. Young people, you don't understand. It is a business transaction. And when I help you as government to do certain things, you come back here and you help me to help you by investing and putting things into the spaces that will make me look nice like I'm a government. That's how, I think that explains the Weekend Chivayo, the Kudakwashita Grey conversation. Once and for all, put it between your ears. Their allegiance is not primarily towards you. Their allegiance is towards ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF, which is actually the mother of their development and the security officer over the businesses that they're doing. It makes simple sense. So what stops you? Now that makes sense. When Tagwire said, when you don't make contracts and you don't do tenders with government, you're a fool. You are saying, get your conscience, get your business interest entangled in businesses and interest of your ruling party and of your present government, so that when you are running your business, you may have a smooth running of your business, and when you make your profits, be able to support your own country and be able to support the initiatives that the political party, and until we begin to learn that ZANU-PF and other political parties around the world, I hope they can hear well, when they begin to change their interest, it is ZANU-PF that must now begin to say, and I'm throwing this at Mr. Mutwangwa himself, you as a political party and a spokesperson of a party, begin to say with your mouth, we no longer need the cars from you. Please, can you take this money and do that, and do that, and do that, and do that. And your principals, who are your sponsors, will move your money where your mouth is. But it's a problem, of course. Because when the one who is supposed to tell others to receive is still hungry also himself, the tendencies are that they may want to start filling up their pockets first before they can allow it to flow. But until the political party raises its voice as to where the business people must put their money, the business people will put their money where they think that their money must go to. So what is the problem? The problem is ZANU-PF. You have not made it clear as to what must the business community sponsor. What must they do with their money? Right now, as ZANU-PF, you are the one enjoying the benefits from those that are financially able. Every money that you get from them is going into your coffers, into the system, and oiling the system. And 40 years later, the system is still not yet oiled. We hope that some ZANU-PF people can begin to hear what I'm saying right here. Stop eating everything as ZANU-PF. Allow these business people to share their money with other people also. Say it with your mouth. Say it as ZANU-PF, at ZANU-PF headquarters. Say it. Surprise the whole country. Make a declaration that as ZANU-PF, all the donations must be directed towards those other initiatives. And let's see if the business community will not respond positively. Because you are the ruling party. So you cannot leave the business people to be insulted by the community, when in fact what is driving their donations is your appetite as ZANU-PF. Your unquenchable appetites of gifts. Gutaivo vezanu, gutaivo, kana maguta morega vamwe vachidlavo. Musati kana maguta mutora mavu, musati tokumbiravo mugwagwa wakati ugadzirwe, tokumbiravo ichi nechichi chiitiwe. Zvisangoita zvinhu zvenyu zvinobetsera mimoga, zvichitanga kuyerera, zvichisvika kuna vamwe vanhu. Imi vezanu, ndini mune mango namaryo. So the transformation needs to come from those that are receiving these benefits. And I think I would end there for today. China is being run by Chinese. Europe is being run by Europeans. America is being run by Americans. India is being run by Indians. Argentina is being run by Argentinians. And Burkina Faso is now being run by Burkinabes. Let Africa also be run by Africans. Hands up to all of us. Show us some thumbs. Show us some love to Dangote. $1 billion put into the Zimbabwean economy. Cement, power, steel are coming to the space for the development. That is a beautiful indicator that Zimbabwe, we are now on the right trajectory of business development. From farmers of thought, please study those three businesses: steel, cement, and power. Strategically change your careers and position yourself to harness the capacity of this investment that is coming into the country. The steelwork is there. Start thinking, what can you produce with that steel? Cement is there. Start thinking, how can you build and construct? Because cement and steel are responsible for all development in terms of creating and making concrete jungles. And power, of course, is the enabler, because it is used for manufacturing the first two. So when you can get those first three items in place, cement, power, and steel, there's an unlimited growth in the country. From bridges to roads, the cost of production will go down drastically. Even a person who is working in the back of a garden can now afford to build a house for themselves when cement is $1 or 90 cents or $1.50. Imagine when you're earning your $200, $300, you can actually afford to build your own house with that kind of money. And with this kind of investment that has come into the country, I want to say to you, we are now heading, particularly Zimbabwe, Botswana, Zambia, and South Africa, we are now heading towards one of the industrial booming of the biggest quality that we'll see. I just hope while we are doing that, we'll be gentle to the ants, we'll be gentle to the butterflies, we'll be gentle to the birds, we'll be gentle to the animals that are around us. Because we're not living here alone. We are living here together with them also. May our development, may our progress, may our industrialization also have ecological intelligence, so that in the midst of our development, we can use ancestral intelligence, AI, so that development must be coupled together with ecological intelligence. Preservation and development must be twins that must never be forgotten, so that by the end of tomorrow, we can still have a home for ourselves and for the butterflies. I'm the end. So while you guys on top there are building buildings, you must remember me also at the bottom here as your end. Dinisose, Chigarambok, Garmashamba Huda.
That is Joshua Maponga, who I was speaking from Guangzhou in China. He spoke in many things. He tried to energize Africans and giving Africans some ways how we can develop, how we can have